Hey everybody, it is Gavin Grubbs and Scott Shive here with the B Main. I just got back from Richmond. Scott's getting ready to go on a racing trip this weekend too. But right now we have a guest with us, and it is the current World Outlaws Rookie of the Year leader and defending Chili Bowl champion, Emerson Axsom. Emerson, what's up, man?
What's up? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, dude, we are super glad to have you. As soon as you won the Chili Bowl back in January, I was like, man, we got to have him on. I just got to pick a time to get it done. And I figured right here, right after the Knoxville Nationals is a great time to have you on. And I just kind of want to have you walk us through this week at Knoxville before we really get into it, because this was a wild week of racing. I think you were up there, 9 days in Knoxville?
Yeah, from about 7 days, but we were at
Okay, yeah.
Peevely for the
Yeah.
Ironman tour. So we went from Peevely straight to Knoxville Saturday night and then raced Sunday and then stayed there all week and then run our prelim night on Wednesday and
I gotcha.
uh, stuff like that. Yep.
Gotcha. And I got to make it there Sunday night for the Cappy, kind of the kickoff before the Knoxville Nationals really started. And how did that night go for you? I mean, it was a week ago for me, but I feel like I remember you doing all right.
Yeah, the Cappy was tough. I mean, it's one of the toughest races of the year. There's 87 cars, and you're racing against all of them. To where like the nationals, it's kind of split prelim nights. So I think there was only 45 cars on my night, and then the Cappy's just tough. So, like there's 87 of us or something. So it went okay. I mean, we qualified fifth in our group, so we needed to really qualify top four to be in a better spot. So we started third in our heat race and top three transfer. And the way Knoxville races, it's just really tough to get a good start being on the inside row. A lot of or a lot of half miles are like that with wing sprint cars, where the guy on the outside row kind of usually does get the jump, and from then on out, you're playing a little bit of catch up. So uh, yeah, we qualified really well, and then unfortunately missed the transfer out of our heat. We started third, run fourth, and um, yeah, just I mean we were close to transferring, but didn't get the job done just because it's a tough race. I mean, there's a lot of good guys there at that race, and
Mhm.
um, yeah, just ended up not transferring. I had to run the B, and then run second in the B, and then had a little bit of miscommunication for the feature on what we really wanted to do with the race car. So um, we just weren't very good, and I ended up pulling in, I think, with like 10 to go, just because we weren't really going anywhere, and uh, we had a full week of racing left that really mattered. So I just pulled her in and saved it for our prelim night.
I gotcha. So you guys just brought one car. I know a few of the bigger teams on the tour do bring a second car to Knoxville, but
We
y'all were up
brought
there with just
two.
one. Okay,
We
okay.
we brought two. It's just I don't know. It pays the same from 15th on back, and we weren't going anywhere. We weren't really that great, so um, there was no reason to really go out there and uh, stay out there at that point in time. Like we made the feature, we were okay earlier in the night, and then really kind of missed it for the feature. We figured out why once we came in and measured some stuff, and we just had a little bit of a miscommunication with what we wanted to do with the race car and how far we wanted to go. So yeah, we were kind of a little bit far out in left field on accident. Um, so then it just it was unfortunate because usually you can learn some stuff at that race, but uh, that night we were so far out in left field it didn't really matter. We just weren't very good.
I gotcha. And you talked about a little bit that you guys don't have a full-time crew chief right now. And what's that situation? Is it kind of crew chief by committee? Or are you bringing in guys on a part-time basis just depending on the race weekend? Like, how does that work, and what's the dynamics of your team right now?
Yeah, it's pretty complicated. So like depending on where we go, like we've had a couple of part-time guys this year, like Jacob Allen's helped us when we were out in PA a little bit, and then I swear someone else has helped us a little bit, but recently Jim Shuttlesworth has been helping us. He was Macri's crew chief a couple years ago and really helped Macri get going. So yeah, he was my crew chief for the past couple of weeks, but he's just a little bit older and has been struggling to feel good out in the heat. So it's like um, that kind of went downhill a little bit, but yeah, the past couple of weeks when we've been rolling, a guy named Jim Shuttlesworth has been helping us here, and as far as I know, plans to help us some more. So hopefully that works out. Um, but most of the time it's just my dad and I, and then we got a crew guy named Peyton, he's a young guy and he's a really hard worker. So um, he's been helping a lot, and yeah, but most of the time it's just my dad and I, and we kind of crew chief just by like him and I making setup calls. Luckily I've been around racing for quite a while now that I kind of have an idea what I want to feel. It's just what direction to go to get that way, to get that feel. Because I'm sure you guys know there's 10 ways to skin a cat. So it's just about which way you go about it and how you get there to get that feel. That's the toughest part. Like I said, I feel like I know what I want to feel. It's just getting there to get that feel.
I've told people forever. I was like, if I was ever going to drive, which I'd love to drive asphalt stuff, I was like, I could tell you what I want to feel. I could not tell you any way how to get there. So I definitely feel you on that. You obviously know a lot more about me, and especially in the dirt world. Does that ever make it tough on you as a driver? Because normally most drivers in their situation are telling their crew chief or their team what they need, and the crew chief goes and figures it all out. Is that ever taxing on you, or how does that make your team dynamic different?
I mean, it's tough. I feel like I'm right in the middle of being like, I know enough, but I don't know too much to get myself into some trouble. I feel like I know some basic changes that we can change to get going down a direction. But like a lot of drivers are still their own crew chief, like Aaron Reitzel, Brent Marks, um, like Logan Schuhart does his own stuff a lot. And then they just have like a guy that they lean on to, bounce ideas off of. So I feel like I'm like Tanner Thorson. There's a lot of guys really, um, not as many in the wing world, but there is still quite a few that are their own crew chief, which I wouldn't consider myself my own crew chief. My dad definitely makes all the calls. We just bounce ideas off of each other. But I feel like when a guy like Jim Shuttlesworth, who's been helping me the past couple weeks, comes in and really knows his way around a race car, I think it helps because I can kind of bounce ideas off of him, which he's been around sprint car racing his whole life. So, um, I think it helps when you really know, or when you're working with a guy that really knows sprint car racing, to where, like one of my best friends, Ryan, I asked him some stuff like I'll just be talking with him about race car stuff, and he tells me his team dynamic is completely different. He just tells the crew chief what the car feels like, and he has no idea what Shane makes all the calls and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know that it's any better or worse. I think it's just different. Um, I enjoy it knowing a little bit what's going on, and trying to help. If we go somewhere and we struggle, then I kind of know what changes does what to get a feel. So yeah, I don't know. I think it helps if you're struggling a little bit. Um, a guy like Ryan hasn't been struggling too often lately, so their team dynamic doesn't really matter about, like, he doesn't need that communication. He just kind of tells the crew chief what he feels, and they make their own changes. So I think it's just, like I said, it's not any better or any worse. It's just two different ways to run a program.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And, one thing, I mean, staying in Knoxville, you have this whole week kind of in the middle leading up to the Nationals. There's some 360 racing going on a little bit south of town. What did you do to stay busy during your 3 off days up there in Knoxville?
Just hung out, enjoyed
I gotcha.
enjoyed hanging out, and
I gotcha.
yeah, I mean, we race a ton on the Outlaw Tour. Like,
Mm-hmm.
at some point, you are racing too much, in my opinion. But some guys just race as many times as they can. But I think there's a happy medium of, the Outlaw Tour. I feel like we only try to race off the Outlaw Tour when it really makes sense, like the Cappy, or there's some races at the Grove that the Outlaws are around, and then some Outlaws will go run a local show at the Grove just because it's a bigger,
Mm-hmm.
that place has a lot of big races and stuff like that. So, I mean, Oskaloosa makes sense, but we just have never done it just because it's so close to our Wednesday prelim night that if you tear something up, it can make your life pretty tough.
Yeah.
So we just try to race when it makes sense, and we feel like we race a ton anyway, and you only got so many days off this year or in a year on the Outlaw Tour, so.
I gotcha. Like
I
that,
think
that
about
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah, Gavin, I was going to say, I think about that all the time with dirt. I'm like, of how many shows there are, how many days you're racing. Like, yes, it's different that, you show up, you practice, you hot lap, race, everything, all in one day, one afternoon. But it is so many days on the road. And I emulate that a lot, Emerson, that there are some people that it's like, man, every race we can do. I'm definitely a work-life balance person.
Yeah, for sure. You can get yourself burnt out pretty easy. So I think just picking a happy medium of, this is my job. So I'm there to race every Outlaw race. And you want to make sure that you're performing at your best on the ones that really matter. And I think you can definitely get a little caught up in other races if you're not careful.
Yeah. Yeah. And going into that, the end of your prelim night and then Friday night at Knoxville, just kind of walk us through the week. I know that Friday night didn't end up like you wanted it, or Saturday night didn't end up like you wanted it to. I mean, ended up going home after the B main, had the car kick out of gear, but just kind of how did the week up until that point go?
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy with our car speed. It's just sometimes that's the way it goes. It's racing. So, um, yeah, we on our prelim night we went out 23rd or something and ended up I think third overall. Casey Kane and Rico beat us and started eighth in our heat. And the way the Nationals format is, they take four, but qualifying is super important. So qualifying is the biggest part of the night. You get a lot of points for it. So we qualified third and started eighth in the third heat, and um, got really close to transferring. I think if we would have transferred, our whole week would have been completely different. If had it not, it would have ended up the same, as in because we had mechanical failures, but it would have also had an opportunity to be really different if we didn't have mechanical failures and we transferred through that heat race. So we run fifth there and start second in the B on our prelim night, run second, started 22nd. The feature was up to 12th or 13th, 10 laps in. So there's still 15 or something to go. I think they're 25 lap prelims, maybe. So And then had we run right there in 12th or 13th, we would have locked in the show. But we ended up blowing a motor. So, which is a really unfortunate. It was a 4-race old from refresh motor, and it was our best piece. We'd been saving it for nationals. So, really unfortunate, but like I said, it's how it goes. And uh, regrouped, put in a new motor, got ready for Saturday, and start second in Saturday's B main after a long rain delay and not much passing. So we're running second, and I think we were pretty safe to be in the show. And uh, just something in the rear end broke. I haven't talked with my dad about it yet to fully figure out what was broke, but yeah, something inside the rear end. My dad thinks something was broke from the motor. Um, he went through the rear end, but ended up not catching anything, and he thinks he should have obviously just changed it anyway. But it's what happens. Races are won in the shop, and that's just the small details like that of changing rear ends after a big motor blow like that. But it's tough being short on help. Ended up Saturday, my crew chief had to go home because the weather was wearing him out. So Jim Shuttlesworth had to go home, and so ended up just being my dad, myself, and our 18, 19-year-old crew guy. And I'm not a ton of help on maintaining race cars, so we didn't change the rear end, and it bit us. So like I said, races are won in the shop. It's those small details that you got to do I mean, that was the difference between being in the show and not.
Yeah, that's something that we have. One of our good friends that he races Outlaws and super late models down in Florida and Alabama, and it's just him and his dad. And so they compete against a lot of teams of people that are full-time employees and that they're in the shop every single day, doing all these things. And it's like, it is so much harder when you do have a smaller team. It's interesting to hear behind the scenes about that, and it makes it more impressive all the more of what you've done so far through your career, and even what you're doing now, being on the World of Outlaws tour, without a full-time crew chief and your dad and your crew guy. And it makes it more impressive in saying that if they had more of this, how much farther forward would they be? But being appreciative and saying, with what they've got now, they are outperforming.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, we've got some things in the works, I think, for the next year. We've been really working hard this season to get some crew guys and get some really good help for next year. And this program, it's frustrating, like I said, because it's not really a small team. It's just hard to find good help. And I don't know that we were really planning on going on the Outlaw Tour until I won the Chili Bowl. So it all came together super last minute, and just didn't really give us a ton of time to prepare with personnel. And that's kind of what really, I think, set us back, is just not having enough time to prepare with personnel. And we thought we had a team set up, and then one guy quit, and all of a sudden it's a two-man dynamic with a driver. So I think we've worked really hard this season to get in contact with some really good help, and I think next year we'll come out of the gate and have the right personnel, and this stuff definitely won't be happening again.
Well, and I definitely want to hear and talk about that more. I want to throw it back now that we've covered Knoxville and talk about where this all began for you, and racing. Obviously you mentioned your dad, and that I imagine he probably raced, but I'd love to hear your story and what sparked you for your love for dirt racing.
Yeah, so my dad actually raced pavement, only pavement. So he ran pavement modifieds and then a little bit of Silver Crown stuff with USAC. And yeah, he just got me a quarter midget and took me up to the Indianapolis Fairgrounds, and I raced there all pavement quarter midget stuff too. I only ran pavement. Except one race we run Eldora. They had a go-kart track there. And then we ran the quarter midget track there. It's no longer there, but yeah, I just started racing quarter midgets, and then um we ran Eldora, which was a dirt race, and it was during Four Crown weekend. So like they had the Silver Crown there, the USAC midgets, USAC sprint cars, the Outlaws, and the All Stars. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. So then uh, from then on, that's what I wanted to do, was race dirt sprint cars. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And then I was good family friends with Zeb Wise, and they were getting into micro sprints. And then so we ended up buying Zeb's micro, and then he went midget racing, and we bought both of his micros and went micro racing.
How old was this?
And then what's that?
How old was this at?
When I was 12, when we went micro racing. So I was in quarter midgets from 7 to 12 or 7 to 11.
Gotcha.
And then went micro racing at 12 in Indiana, mostly the first year. And just slowly progressed and started traveling a little bit more. And then, yeah, I went and really started running a lot better in micros, and went to the Tulsa shootout a couple years, struggled for the first couple years. And then when I was 15, I won my first driller. And then from there, my career kind of took off into midget racing from that.
Yeah, and I want to ask, speaking about Tulsa,
Yeah.
and you said you started racing micros at 12 years old, mainly raced in Indiana for the first year or so. What was your memory of showing up to the Expo Center for the first time and seeing, 1,000 micro sprints all in one building together, and seeing all the huge names that are on that entry list you have to race against?
Yeah, I mean, even it's crazy to think about that. Even 6 years ago, it wasn't near as big as it is now. It's pretty big now. It's grown, it's probably doubled since my first time there.
Oh, wow.
Um, and it was big back then. I think my first year was the year that Jason McDougal won 3 in 1 year.
Okay.
But I mean, it was pretty intimidating. I remember I've probably never been so nervous in my life. Still, like with all the races I run now, at that point in my career, I was probably the most nervous I'd ever been to race a car in a heat race. So I mean, that was my first taste of rolling down the ramp and getting the butterflies everyone talks about, and yeah, it was an experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to get to go to the Tulsa shootout just as a fan this year, but what is that energy like? Like, what am I going to feel like when I go through those doors and I'm in the Expo Center?
Man, it's awesome. You got to go to the Chili. Have you been to the Chili Bowl?
I haven't been to the Chili Bowl either, but I think I'm going to go to the shootout this year, and if I can figure out a way to get to the Chili Bowl, I'm going to go, but I know that it's usually like sold out and you're on a wait list to get tickets.
Yeah. The shootout's cool just because it's like a mixing pot of all these racing talents of young and old and professional and kid and his dad racing, and it's just a cool experience. I mean, the Chili Bowl's next level, but the shootout's even, it's cool.
Yeah.
Just has an aura around that building that it's just unlike anything else, right? Like there's no other racetrack in the world that's inside and with whatever 1,200 entries or whatever they have for the shootout. That's like insane. It's just a building packed full of race cars, and it's just a bunch of different personalities and all the guys fighting for one trophy.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like, you've won 5 drillers total. I mean, you've won 4 in the shootout and then the one in the Chili Bowl this year. Talk us through that first year. You got your first Golden Driller. I believe that was 2020.
Yeah, I was. It was pretty crazy. I had a solid. I had won the Outlaw Wing class, which is the last class, and I ran I think third in A class wing that year, and I was close to winning, and I was really disappointed. And I was like, man, we need to just go win this Outlaw Wing one. And I had Jonathan Beeson in it, and that's who I raced against the whole race. And at the time, I had no idea who he was. But looking back, it's probably a good thing because he had run good at the Chili Bowl for years and years, and he'd run on the podium with Outlaw Wing for like 5 years in a row. And I was just this 15-year-old kid that
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the best race I'd ran at the time in my career. And I'd never ran really a smart race like that. Like normally at the time in my career, I just went out, and if I won, it was just because I was running it harder than the guy in front of me. Toward that race, it was 55 laps, and I really had to move around and kind of actually race the race rather than just running wide open for 55 laps. So
Mhm.
I think it was a turning point in my career, and yeah, it was really cool. I definitely think it was a big stepping stone in my career.
Yeah, and you said big stepping stone in your career. I think this is also really close to the time you started racing midgets, and I know that like midget wise, I started watching 2021, 2022, kind of at the same time that, in my opinion, the USAC midgets were just at the highest level they've been at maybe ever, maybe in such a long time, and that's when I started following you. So I want to just talk about those kind of few seasons in USAC there at the early 2020s.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
It's fun as a
There
fan.
was
Like
there
y'all
was
were
a,
awesome.
there was a lot of good guys racing at that time. I mean, like if you look at the guys that are racing wing sprint cars right now, it's a lot of them were running midgets at the time, like
Mhm.
Buddy Kofoid, Thorson, Tyler Courtney, Chris Wyndham, Dason, Ryan, um, probably more guys too that I'm forgetting about. But I mean, it was pretty stacked group of guys, and then you threw in the non-wing guys like Justin Grant and KT and Logan Seavey, and so there was a lot of good race cars, and
And
Scott Petrie had given me an opportunity from the Tulsa Shootout, really, and yeah, my dad was my crew chief at that time too, and we just got on a roll where we were really good, and I think at one point we were tied with Buddy for the national points late in August, maybe September. So I felt like we really had a shot there to win the points. And I think just being young, I was 15 or 16, probably 16. And I think I just was so young that I didn't really know how to points race, and uh, got in some wrecks, and then that was all she wrote. But yeah, it was just, I think that was probably one of the most fun times of my career, still to this day. Just every time it felt like we were unloaded, we had a shot to win. And um, I felt like I said, there was a lot of competition, and I was learning a lot. And um, we only ended up with 2 wins that season, but it felt like one of the team cars, Kevin Thomas Jr. was my teammate, and it felt like one of the team cars was on the podium every night. It seemed like so. Our race cars were really good, and we were just unloading fast every night. It seemed like so. Yeah, it was a fun time at that point in my career.
yeah, and this was 2021 is I guess the year you're talking about
Hmm.
competing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think the West Coast swing of that was the first time I got into dirt racing that wasn't the Chili Bowl. I think that was the first time I remember watching, like, and observing, and like I owe it to you and some of those other guys you mentioned racing, like, to be a dirt racing fan. So like I get
yeah,
to kind of geek out when I talk to any of you guys that were running midgets that couple years. Like I just nerd out every time we get to talk to y'all, which is hilarious because I'll talk to NASCAR people and be fine, and then I talk to these group of people that half of y'all are younger than me. I'm like, that was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun time. And, I think that was also another turning point in my career, being teammates with Kevin Thomas Jr. He's still to this day one of my best friends. And yeah, he just taught me how to be professional and how to take racing serious as a job and also have fun with it. And yeah, he just, anytime I had a single question about a place that we were at or how to handle a situation or whatever, like he was the guy that I could go to that, he's made some good decisions and some bad decisions in his career, and he's learned from them. He's really racing smart, and he just would give me advice that still I use to this day. So yeah, just I think having a mentor like that that's been around racing a long time and won a lot of races definitely helped me.
Yeah, and he's like you were just saying, such a good driver and has learned a lot in his career too, and teaching you kind of as he's learning, and like you said, just awesome experience. And then additionally to that, you've had that team, your family team. You said you raced for Petrie as well. What was it like in those midget years? I mean, you got some starts for some pretty big midget teams, and what is that like compared to, kind of a family-owned team, getting to race with somebody like Keith, who I know you've ran a handful of races for, ran the Chili Bowl with before too?
Yeah, Keith, and I've been around probably every good midget team there is, except a couple back in the day. But every team that I feel like has been a super team of my era, I feel like I've run for. So, like I've ran for Keith, Boston Marshall, Petrie, uh, Kevin Swindell, Jerome Rodella. There's AME. Like it seems like I ran for a lot of these professional level teams, and I credit all that to my USAC success. Just being surrounded by good people that know what they're doing, and yeah, that's the biggest thing that's helped me in my USAC career is just being surrounded by really good car owners, and yeah, I definitely think that's the biggest credit to all my USAC success.
I gotcha. And is there anything that you can like learn from watching those big time USAC teams to kind of help you and your dad apply to y'all's team now?
Uh, I mean, it's tough. I feel like our wing program is pretty professional.
That's good. Yeah, that's
Um,
great.
I I don't know. Just being prepared probably is the
Yeah.
biggest thing, especially when you're out on a tour like the Outlaw Tour. You just have to be prepared and
Hmm.
spend a lot of time in the shop, even though we're not really at the shop all that often. It seems like we're more on the road. Uh, but I think the biggest thing is just always being prepared and having your equipment and nice equipment and just, yeah, having the right pieces to the puzzle is the biggest thing for sure.
I gotcha. And getting back to kind of closer to now, 2024, I think was the first year that you guys started your wing sprint car program, if I'm correct. And what was that like going from, midgets and non-wings to hopping in a winged sprint car, especially like a winged 410 and racing against the best of the best?
Yeah, it was tough. I was racing non-wing sprint cars for Boston Marshall and driven to save lives, and I just I was sponsored by Dale Klosmeyer. He sponsored us some motors, and the plan was to go wing racing with CMR. And some stuff just had fallen through, and it just didn't work out. And I called Dale Klosmeyer and asked if he wanted to build a program and do a wing program, and he was on board. And then I think I was eating lunch with Scott Petrie one day as a friend and told him what I was going to do. And then uh, he just said he was interested. So then all of a sudden I had a wing team, Fossmeyer Petrie Motorsports, and it just came together. I'd really just fallen into it by virtue of friends, and slowly built up this program of, it started just at the very start. We brought the 27 out in 2023 for like 5 races and run it at
Okay.
Knoxville and some PowerEye shows. Um, and then got Scott and Dale involved and really amped up the program and took it to a professional level and tried to run the team professionally. Um, and then slowly just built it into an outlaw level team, we feel like. And we still have a ways to go to keep building, but I feel like we're building a respectable team, and I feel like we do things the right way, and yeah, just keep working on, like I said, doing things the right way, and building it into a respectable program. I really respect the way like guys like Rico built his program, and before he was with TSR, and guys like Brian Brown and stuff like that. You know you look at their program and you see how professional it is, and that's what everyone's goal is, right? Is to look at a team like that and emulate it.
And yeah, you just mentioned those teams that you look at and you want to emulate. When you were a kid racing, did you have kind of that one driver that you said, I want to be like him? Or was this just you saw sprint cars and was like, that looks fun?
I think both. I was a
Okay.
Donnie Schatz fan
I
in wing
gotcha.
racing. I didn't watch a ton of wing racing. Just I would watch the highlights on YouTube on my way to school or whatever in the morning. Like
Yeah.
just get on YouTube, but in the car ride on the way to school and watch highlights. I don't know why. Or they were always on my Facebook feed. I just would always watch racing.
Yeah.
Uh, but and then in the non-wing side, I always, for whatever reason, was a big Tracy Hines fan. Uh, which he's a little bit older. Like I never even really got to see him in his prime. I just, for whatever reason, I liked his yellow number 4 non-wing sprint car, and
Mhm.
uh, he always ran good at Eldora, and I that's really the only sprint car race I got to go to. So uh, that's probably why, because he always ran good at Eldora. Um, I don't know. Those are probably the two guys I looked up to as a fan. Like
Yeah.
uh, but I don't know. I didn't really have a guy that I really really looked up to when I was super young that I was like a super fan of. Those are just some of the guys that I cheered for.
No, yeah, I gotcha.
Gavin mentioned talking about, in 2024 when y'all started you figured out the whole wing deal, everything like that. When you started driving the wing cars, how much of a change was it? Mentally, physically, like, again, all my experiences from iRacing, this is all, but of just like the different style, even for myself, of like on the sim rig, of like how so different it is with how much air you're pushing, and that it is almost like a totally different car.
Dude, it's pretty crazy. You can't even. I always tell people you can't even call a non-wing sprint car and a wing sprint car like sprint cars. They should just be totally different race cars because nothing is the same except the frame. I mean, everything's the same components wise, but that wing changes everything. They do not drive a lick similar, and like it's hard to even get down the straightaway. At the start, I couldn't get out of the infield whenever I switched from a non-wing car to a wing car because the wing car just drives you down the track. It's so loaded, laid left, and it's they're tough to drive. Wing cars are tough to drive coming from a non-wing background. Um, I just it was tough. I mean, wing racing is the style of racing is completely different. Like it's cutthroat. It's like you're always trying to build momentum and take air off of a guy's wing, and the starts are so hard because like wing racing, you make up all your time in the first 2 laps by having more mile an hour than the guy. Because once you get up to speed, everyone's the same speed. We're all going 115, then everyone's going 115. Like there's no way to really make up time.
Yeah.
Like their cars are so loaded and into the track that like if you can get a good start and be going 100 while a guy's going 92, then like you can really blow around a guy and make up some real ground. So the starts are really cutthroat just because everybody knows that you can make up a lot of time or lose a lot of time on a restart or initial start. I think that's the biggest difference is the starts on and how people race on the starts. And um it's been a learning curve, but I feel like we've recently um gotten a lot better, and I feel like running the Outlaw Tour every night has kind of thrown me into the wolves and forced me to get better. And it's either get better or just be happy with sucking. And I definitely don't want to suck, so forced me to really get better at my craft and try to figure out how to outsmart guys and drive harder than guys. And um, I just enjoy the professionalism of wing racing. It's to me it's the highest form of dirt racing, open wheel dirt racing. And I think I enjoy that. And there's a lot of fans too that go to wing races. Like there's not a lot of shows that we go to that the stands aren't packed. So I enjoy that. It's why I do it. It's why we all do it, is just because the atmosphere, the professionalism, the how tough it is. It's the pinnacle of dirt racing, in my opinion.
I would agree with you as well. And I was literally thinking about asking you that because talking about the difference between the wing and the non-wing. I mean, I'm thinking it's like Truck Series versus Cup Series in terms of the difference of the vehicle, and thinking that the whole deal with falling into the wing and then saying, I want to race the pinnacle of dirt racing is why you went the outlaw route, even though you were a non-wing guy.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Indiana, so if anyone was going to be a non-wing sprint car racer, I feel like it would have been me. So I don't know. I see the trend of like the pay going up. All the best drivers are moving to wing racing, and it's just a trend that everyone wants to be the best. We're all egotistical race car drivers that want to say that we're the best, and the only way that you can say that is if you're winning at the highest level. I watched an interview when I was 14 years old that Sheldon Hanshill did, and he said that when you win an outlaw race, you know that at that night you were the best driver in the world, a best wing sprint car driver in the world. Because so it's like that's why we do it, is because that night that you win, you're number one. Like there's no one that can say that they were better than you at driving that night. Obviously, the next night's completely different, but that's just it's something that you want to be able to say as a race car driver. So I feel like you see the trend of a lot of non-wing guys going wing racing, and I feel like that's why.
And you say that like that night you're the best driver in the world, and it's kind of led us into the start of this year, the Chili Bowl. I mean, talk about being the best driver in the world that night. I mean, I think the Chili Bowl is the one place you can really prove that, and I want to talk about this year's Chili Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, even but talking about it, Gavin. Besides the Nationals, I mean, that is one of the biggest nights.
Yeah, it was a fun night, man. Like I said, I was just fortunate to have to be surrounded by good people. You know, I've been in some really great cars, but Kevin, it seemed like really dialed that car into my liking, and we worked really good together. And yeah, it was just a fun week, and my car was really good. And I'll it's a night I'll definitely never forget for the rest of my life. Um, I grew up. That's one of the bucket list races that I grew up wanting to win, and I think just kind of for whatever reason that building has always fit my style of racing, and uh, I've just always had success there for whatever reason. And yeah, I'm just proud of being able to say that I won the Chili Bowl. It still hasn't sunk in, but yeah, it's something that I'll definitely never forget, and I'll be able to people tell people about it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and walk us through also like leading up to it, the deal coming together with Kevin Swindell, and kind of also that week of the Chili Bowl. I mean, in order to win the event, you have to be on your game on your prelim night, and then everything fall your way in the shootout style qualifying at the start of the night, and then also 55 laps of a perfect race for you. So just kind of how did that entire week work?
Yeah, so I feel like I've really put in a lot of effort on trying to figure out how to win the Chili Bowl because, um, after I won the shootout, I realized that like there's things that you just have to do that week to put yourself in position to win. And there's things that you can't do, like take yourself out, or else you're done. Like if you make one mistake, you're done. So I feel like, we'd won our prelim night. We started second, I think, and fell back a couple spots, and then got back up to the lead. And then, I knew top two lock in, but like I said, there's ways to win or put yourself in position to win, and you almost have to win your prelim night. You don't have to, but if you win your prelim night, you only redraw 1 through 5, and then second redraw is 6 through 10. And so that's just a small detail that like you can ever if you beat one guy on your prelim night, that's 5 spots later on Saturday just by beating one guy. So there's little things like that you just take note of, and that you weigh your risk versus reward on if you should try to win or just lock in. And yeah, I knew our race car was really good, and I told myself waking up Saturday morning that we had a shot to win it, and redrew the 2 on Friday night, and so I knew we started at worst. We started at worst third, and I in the pull shuffle we ended up second barely. So after the pull shuffle, and I saw how close we were lap time wise to Larson, I knew we'd have a shot, and yeah, I just wanted to get the lead early and set my own pace. And then unfortunately for Kyle, he got in a wreck with the lap car, and then I tried to give it away a couple times to my teammate Logan, and had to play a little bit of defense. And yeah, just I've raced at that place a long time to know kind of when you're not getting off the corner well, or when you're not putting together good laps. And yeah, I just made a mental note of when I felt like guys were on me, and what moves to make, and didn't really second guess myself on any defensive moves that I made. And it's fortunate that I didn't after rewatching, because there was a couple times that I almost didn't make a move, and thank God I did, because it would have gave the race away. So yeah, I just made all the right moves and put myself in position.
And you talk about that, like knowing where the guys are around you. You guys on any dirt series don't have spotters, and we've had this conversation with just about every dirt guest that we've had on
Dude,
here.
it's the
But
best question to ask.
it's just such a fun question to ask. Is how do you personally like your spatial awareness of the cars around you? Like, how does that even work? Because as asphalt people, we don't even understand.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is you gotta, like, at the highest level that we're racing at is, like, we all know when our race cars are good, right? So when you're not good, like, okay, a guy's about to pass me. If a guy feels good, he's gonna pass you if you don't feel good. Um, so I think just knowing what you want to feel is the biggest thing. And like when you don't feel good, like I said, a guy's about to pass you, and then you can hear cars, and um, I don't know, you just know, like you
Yeah,
can feel, you just know when you're not any good, and when you're not down in the track, because that's a lot of times the biggest thing we fight on dirt racing is we're not down in the track. Um, or our car, like the biggest thing we fight is like getting the rear tires stuck hard. So I think you just know when your car is out of the racetrack, and uh, you can hear guys, and I think we just all been doing it long enough to know when a guy's around us. I don't know. It is weird, but you just know. It's hard to explain.
I think that's a fairly similar answer to what we've gotten most of the time. You just know.
it's their Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Gavin?
Oh, I was gonna hand it over to you if you had
No,
something.
man, you got it.
All
Look,
right. Well,
I told you
I,
where we're going, man. You're the leader here.
hey, we've covered so much tonight, but I want to, like you said, you just walked us through the Chili Bowl and those moments of knowing when the cars are around you, breaking that down. Do you remember, like, early on in your career, having that moment where you kind of found out how to have that awareness based on a mistake, or was it, like, built into you when you were a kid?
I think you learn over time. Like it's just experience. It's repetition of,
Mhm.
at this point in my career, I've ran a ton of races. I couldn't even tell you how many races I've raced. And I think I mean, I probably learned the most in micro sprints and midgets, and, uh, how to read a dirt track and stuff like that. And um, I think just racing dirt at a young age and kind of committing to, knowing that I wanted to run the Outlaws instead of going the pavement route or anything like that. So I think just kind of committing to dirt racing and stuff like that was the biggest benefit to, being able to read a racetrack and feel when we're not good, and race cars around us and stuff. I think just racing a lot of dirt races from a young age, from
Mhm.
12 to now. I've been racing almost 10 years on dirt. So I think that's the biggest thing.
I gotcha. And like you said, that the wing sprint car thing has always been your number one goal. Did you ever have any aspirations of the NASCAR route, or was that not even a thing to you?
I mean, I always told myself, like, if I had a golden opportunity of a guy
Hmm.
willing to pay for it and give me an opportunity, then yeah, I would do it. But I wasn't gonna go searching for it and put a dampen, or like I didn't want to put what I really wanted to do
Yeah,
on like my back burner,
yeah,
just because of money.
hmm,
Because David Gravel makes a good living, and Donnie Schatz,
yeah,
and everyone has made a good living. Like there's guys that make a good living. It's like anything. You have to be good at what you do to get paid. It's the way I look at it. So it might be a little more performance based pay in dirt racing, but I feel like anything that you do in life, you have to be good at it to make good money. So, yeah, I just figured I'll pick what I want to do and just try to be the best that I can at it.
I gotcha. And I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good spot to start winding down on. And I've had this conversation sort of with you before. You said you don't really watch much racing unless you're at the track. And has that
Hmm.
really changed, or you still just you're a race driver, not a race fan?
I definitely don't watch any non-wing racing or late model racing or NASCAR. About the only thing I watch now, and it's strictly because I'm not happy with my results, is
Mhm.
like I watch, like, if we're not racing and high limit is, then I'll turn on the high limit race because I feel like I need to just figure out how to be better at wing sprint cars.
Yeah.
So I only watch wing sprint car racing, and I don't watch a ton of it
Mhm.
when, like I said, when we're not racing. But here recently, I have, because it's like I feel like I'm not putting in full effort if I don't, you know,
Mm.
at this point in my career. Maybe once I figure out wing racing and say that, every time we unload, we're good,
Hey, I'm
which we're
on the
not right now.
podcast.
Yeah.
So I feel like I do watch more wing sprint car racing now than ever, um, just because it's something that, I want to be good at it. So I'm putting in a lot more effort, I feel like, of watching races that I'm not at, or watching races that I don't really have an interest in. But if I can learn a thing or two about it, then, it could benefit me.
I gotcha.
What are some of those things besides watching those other races that you do to prepare to make you better? You know, what on physical fitness, mental awareness, or just getting better in the race car? What are some of those things out of the seat that you do to prepare yourself and improve your craft?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's tough with racing. Like, you can't just go shoot free throws at the gym. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's tough. But I mean, I feel like there's not much you can do besides just watch film, in my opinion, and be in shape. As long as you're not getting tired, then, like, you don't need to be benching 225. Like, it's just like, look at who's good at racing. Like, tell me Buddy Kofoid can bench 225. Like, it doesn't matter.
You
You
heard
know
it
what I
here
mean?
first. Buddy Kofoid, neither Emerson Axsom can bench 225.
Like, there's only so much, like, that stuff just doesn't matter in racing.
No.
So, um, it's just, I mean, as long as you're in shape and you're not getting tired, then I don't think it really matters. So I think the only thing you can really do is watch film. I mean, some people think the simulator helps, and it might, but I feel like with dirt racing, it's not as close to the real thing as maybe the pavement side of it is. I could see where the pavement simulator helps, but I feel like just with dirt racing, the way the track changes, and like, there's ruts in a real racetrack that form randomly. Like, just because a car bounced here in hot laps, now there's a rut there. And um, yeah, I think just the randomness of dirt racing and stuff like that makes it really tough to train for. And like I said, there's not the 3 point line's not at the same spot every night. We're running a half the court's not the same size. The goal's not 10 foot every time. We go to different tracks that you could show up to 5 nights in a row. Like, we go to Knoxville this week, however many times they raced, the track was not the same one time. So it's just tough to really, you just have to be adaptable. And though I think the only way that you can really get better at racing, dirt racing, is just by racing. So I think just running the Outlaw tours have been the biggest help this year, of running at the highest level, getting our teeth kicked in some nights and having good runs other nights. And I think the biggest thing you can do is just race.
Yeah, dude, that's an insanely excellent metaphor. The 3-point line changes every lap, every night. That is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough. I mean, there's no way to really train like that. My
No.
buddies will ask, "How do you practice?" And it's like you don't. It's my high school buddies. They'll ask like questions about racing and stuff, and the most common question I get is, "Well, how do you practice?" You just don't. You just race. It's the only way to get better.
yeah, and talking about like that, talking about the 3-point line moving every night. I want to talk to you just a little bit before we let you go here because I know you're a huge Indiana sports fan. Were you more excited when you won the Chili Bowl or when Indiana won the national championship? I've
Chili
been wanting
Bowl
to
for
ask
sure.
you. Okay, okay. What
Chili
have
Bowl
you?
for sure. I mean, I thought that was awesome. The national championship was sick, and I watched it. I watched the whole game on the way home. We were down in Volusia testing and watched the whole game on the way home from Florida, and it was awesome. But uh, I the Chili Bowl was like something that I'd been dreaming of for
Yeah,
my whole life. I feel like just recently, the past couple of years, I've become a college sports fan. So it
gotcha.
was cool to see a team that I root for win, but um, not. I felt like it was a dream to win the Chili Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I was, I mean, kind of joking around with that, but still, and like you said, you
Yeah,
kind of became a college sports fan, and you don't watch a whole lot of racing unless you're studying film. Like, what do you do to unwind and just kind of turn off the racing if you're, in a slump and need to just clear your head? Like, what is that process like for you specifically?
yeah. I'm still really close with all my friends at home. So when I'm in Indiana, 99% of the time I'm hanging out with my high school buddies that I went to high school with, and they still support my racing, and we'll play some sports to stay in shape: basketball, pickleball, golf, uh, go to the bar and watch games.
Yeah,
Yeah, just kind of just normal 21-year-old guy things.
yeah,
Hang out with some buddies and enjoy normal life.
yeah. No, I gotcha. And yeah, I mean that's really I feel like a pretty good spot to end it. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thanks
much
for
for
having me
your
on.
time. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to mention or kind of direct us towards if we didn't cover it?
No, I think that's it. That's
Yeah,
most of it.
awesome. Thanks,
Well,
Emerson.
yeah,
And
we appreciate you, man. Talk to you a bit after, but this has been fun. I
Sweet.
love especially getting to talk to dirt guys because as Gavin's been in dirt for about 6 years, but I'm only in about midway through last year, so it's continually always interesting for me to just continue to get to pick y'all's brains. So it's been great.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for supporting dirt racing.
Always, man. I,
oh
I
yeah,
I freaking love it. I freaking love it. So, thank you all, everybody, for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Emerson Axsom. I learned a whole lot about him and his career. We'll see you on the next one.